In my other automation video, I talked a little bit about Chris Lord-Alge's approach to using automation and how it works on his console, and then how the different modes in Pro Tools work that I use. Today, though, I want to put it all into practice. So I'm going to show you how I actually use those modes in the context of music. If you're just checking this out for the first time, you don't want to go back to those other videos. A couple of things you should know. I always put chapter markers in these videos so you can jump around to things if you want to see. Might be hard in this one. You might need to watch this from start to finish to really understand it. So sorry, it's going to be long. There's also some affiliate links down below. Those affiliate links, they help me out. There is a Dolby Atmos template that I sell that is linked down there as well. If you want to pick that up to work on Dolby Atmos and stereo at the same time, using those links helps me out, helps support the channel, and I appreciate it. But let's jump in and look at this. One thing you should know, I actually filmed that on a different day, so that's why my shirt color is going to change. But let's jump in. So I've got a song here. I went and wiped all of the automation on it, and I'm just going to kind of walk through what do I do when I'm starting. So the first thing I want to do is I want to put everything in write mode. So this I have to do manually, all of these in write, and then I just am going to scroll up through the whole session and make sure that everything that I want to write is going to write. This is real important to me before I start doing any of this, because what this is going to do is it's going to write an automation breakpoint on every single track. The reason I do that is so that if I bump a fader or move something or do something for whatever reason later on, it will already have that previous value stored in there. So I can always get back to it. So I'm just going to play a little bit and it's going to write a little bit, and then we can really start. All right, that's it. That's all I needed to do. So now I have that initial point, and you can kind of see it just put a little breakpoint there. So I can kind of get started. First thing I want to do next is I want to get into latch mode. So I'm going to hit the button on my S1 that puts me in latch mode. Now I'm going to go over to my SoundFlow automation deck, and I want to latch on right on stop. You can see that turned this on up here in the automation window. Basically, what this is going to do for me is the minute I press stop, anything that I was automating, it's going to just write it all the way to the end. I only use this in my first pass, though. Once the first pass is done and I'm refining automation, I don't want that latch still turned on because I'm going to make changes here and there, and I don't necessarily want to write them all the way to the end of the session. So before I get started, I'm going to go into preview mode because I want to just give this a listen and make sure things are kind of where I want them. Something you can see in here is anything that I've touched while I'm in preview mode, it is turned green. That's so that you can tell what's in preview mode. So now that I've got that, I'm going to hit this button on my SoundFlow deck. This is going to write to the end, and it's going to turn preview off. So I'm going to hop back over into Pro Tools, and I'm going to write to the end, preview's off. and now I'm ready to go. So now I just play back, and I'm going to start making changes and automating. So you can see anything that I started writing, any faders I touched, they immediately start writing new values. The minute I press stop, it just writes everything to the end, and we're good to go. Now, if I didn't have that right to the end, for example, let's say on this guitar, I'm going to pull that down. It only wrote up to there. Now, this red line right here, this is the auto join line. And if I press play right now, it continues writing there. And if I stop, if I go forward of that though, accidentally, and start playing, I lose that auto join. That's the kind of stuff that if you're mousing around and jumping around and relocating, that auto join can be problematic. So I just don't even use it. And I just latch on right to end, which is kind of my auto join because it just writes everything to the end. Now there was a bass part in here. There's a note that was jumping out to me. I want to go grab. Right there. If I can't find it, I just go right up to the thing. Right here. Crazy about that. I'm just going to adjust it in preview. If I just want that note, I'm going to hit right and turn preview off. Actually, let's go down to the VCA and watch what happens. Just wrote it, turn preview off. Here we go. All right, so going into new sections of a song, I like to do things that a lot of people would call a scene change, where everything is going to change, or there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to kind of change. There's a couple of different ways that I can do this. One way is I can go into preview mode and start playing through and readjust the balance to where I like it. But I'm going to show you how I use capture to do this instead. So I'm going to go out of preview mode, and I'm just going to play this back, and I am going to hopefully get somewhere by the end of the chorus to where I like what's going on. So. So now that I've got all that stuff where I want it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit back and play because I hit capture and stop. So now I have all of the final values that we're writing, basically. They are stored. Now I want to punch them in where I actually want that new value to start. So I'm going to hit back and play to roll back a little bit, and then I'm going to punch in right here on the S1. So you can see it's writing again, and now it's writing at those values that I had set. When I hit stop, it just wrote them all the way to the end. I can see right where I punched in, which was right there, and then it just wrote them to the end. Now there's some other changes that I want to make in this section with the drums. because I want to get some of those drum effects up a little bit. I'll go back over to my main speakers for this. So for these, I can punch them right in on the one. Let's see. Go right here on this one. Now with these values, since I've got some stuff changed, so like I adjusted my kick and snare parallel. I'm bringing that up a little bit. I've got my medium reverb on the drums. I'm going to bring that up a little bit. This stuff I'm just ready to write. So I'm going to go over to my SoundFlow deck, and now I'm going to hit this right to the end and turn the preview off because I don't need to punch this stuff in. I'm going to have it punch right on that spot where my cursor is. So if I hit this, you'll see the value for this kick snare spank right there. If I hit that button, boom, done. So I can work really fast this way. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to play it through because I want to do some more rides on some things. All right, so here's a good example. So going into the second part of this chorus, this guitar is playing something a little more melodic. I want to make sure I get that, so I'm going to go back and do it again. I think I need more back and play. Going into that, I want to punch some stuff in. I made some changes, hit capture and stop. I'm going to just punch it in. I have to go back. All right, let me play this back again. So what I was doing in there was I was hitting back and play a bunch because there was this sort of melodic guitar stuff that he was doing, and I was just trying to go back and to keep pushing it up to get there. So you can kind of see how I'm able to do this and to just kind of keep working and moving through, and I can just go back. If I miss something, I just roll back and it just goes and keeps going, and I can either make a change and try something again a different way, or it'll just keep playing back all the automation that's already written. So now that I've got some stuff in here, though, I want to listen and see if there's anything I missed. Actually, there's like a string thing in there. Where is that coming from? There's like a cello. Here, let's go here. So something else I can do in here with the automation is if I'm writing in Latch, I want to make a little move and do something, and then I'm done. I want to go back. If I hit that record button on my S1, it will do an auto match, basically, where it will take the fader or take whatever was writing back to the level I had it at before I started making the change. So let me keep playing this through and see what happens. Go in a little sooner with that. There's something in here with the guitar. All right, let's keep going. Now the acoustic starts to get a little too loud for me, so I'm going to start pulling it back a little bit. All right, so when it is coming in there, some of this stuff that's been pushed up is going to be too loud, so I'm going to go through and figure out where do I actually want it to keep going through. So I was in preview mode doing that, and I'm still in preview mode. So we've got a bunch of changes in there. Let me see what I think about these. So I just punched them in. I can play them back and see. So with this, I might have punched this in a little too soon, so I'm just going to kind of feather this guitar manually to get it to where I like it. All right, so that organ comes in the second half of that where it's going into a higher register. I don't like that. I'm going to need to pull that down a little bit. Normally, I would have hit back and play to do it, but I'm just going to do it. It's right around here, I think. Right there. All right, I'm going to punch that in. see how that works. So you can see, I just ride stuff through to make the song work however I want. Now, if I was going to refine the stuff, let's say I've gotten through the whole pass and I'm done, there's a couple of things that I'll do. First, I turn right on stop off because I don't need that anymore. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into touch mode, and then I will also put things in trim. And you can see all of these faders, if I go out of trim again, there's different values here. Nothing is right at Unity. If I go into here now, I'm just in trim mode and I can change things, and it will not change any of the underlying automation. It will just adjust that. And at the end, when I take it out of trim mode, it will put that trim value. It will basically add it or incorporate it into the automation that's already existing. So for example, let's say this guitar right in here, I wanted to add a little something. I had it in touch mode. You can see it just added some stuff in there. If I take this out of trim now, you can see it has taken all of that new value there. Of course, I don't necessarily want that through there, so I can just basically touch the fader. I'm in preview now, and even though I'm in touch mode, it will still kind of latch the stuff. And if I want to wipe that, there we go. All is forgiven. So if I go back into touch mode, so where touch mode comes in handy for me sometimes is like drum fills, things where I just want to give something a little bump real quick. Sort of, for example, going into this chorus. Right here. Let me do that again. So you can see that's just bumping up those drums. And maybe if I solo the kit now, let's see if you can hear this. So I hope that kind of gives you a little bit of a sense of how I use automation in Pro Tools. Basically, I just play through the song and sort of play it on the faders as I'm going. And I will roll back and make changes as I need to and change things for new scenes and new sections of songs, and just to try and make the song more exciting, more alive, to have more dynamics, and to have it go somewhere. One thing I should mention, generally when I'm doing this, I have everything in. I mean, today we're just listening to the instruments, but normally I have the vocals in the entire time. Everything's there. I am just going through and adjusting everything. A lot of times I will go through and get the band right and make sort of, I guess, more global changes to the vocals and not get too nitty gritty about them. Maybe I might do more kind of sectional vocal effects in this kind of first pass. After I've done that, I usually go back and do just a separate pass, just focused on vocals and really riding that lead vocal and the backgrounds to get it to where it just fits everything just right. You're not missing any words or syllables, and the emotions are all there and everything's right. And then after that, I might go back through and do more kind of refinement on the whole thing, because the thing about mixing is everything affects everything. So it's hard to get too compartmentalized, because if I just ride bits of the band here and there without the vocal in, when the vocal comes in, it might cover something up that I wanted to be more present, or it might turn out that that thing that I was pushing on the band side, now it's fighting the vocal and I actually need to pull it back. So I try and have everything in the whole time once I start automating as much as possible. There are some projects I work on where they're just too big and there's just too much going on that a lot of times I will do a first pass of just the instruments and then I'll get the vocals in and do it. I think it's important to try and get through this as fast as you can. Not that you're missing details or anything, because the details really matter. But the longer you kind of focus on all of this stuff, the harder it is to kind of have any sort of perspective on things. I mean, the longer you hear it a certain way, it's harder to make a judgment. So I want to go through as fast as I can. It's more fun that way. It keeps it interesting, keeps the song, I think, more exciting. And that's just kind of the way I do it. If you got questions about automation, questions about Pro Tools automation, you can leave a comment below. But I'd also love to hear, how do you use automation? Are you just drawing breakpoints? Do you automate a lot? Do you not automate at all? Let me know. Leave a comment below. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you next time.